start off with the O&M tip that I've said I'm going to do. So today's O&M tip is going to be about cane sweeping. So in regards to not being able to walk around or limiting our traveling, we were probably sitting around a lot, not using our cane as much. So cane skills can get a little rusty, especially since it's been almost 2 months now. Sorry, a month, depending on when you started your quarantine. But we've probably been in the home for a little bit longer than we've desired. So it is almost 2 months now. Geez, I can't even keep up with how many days we've been in our stay-at-home orders. But so with not being able to travel as much, our cane skills are probably going to get a little bit rusty or not be as good as they were when probably back in February and March. So some things that you can do to make your cane skills stay up to date and making sure you're still sweeping properly. Oh, there's Kevin. What I've done is I have typically instructed people that are either not comfortable with walking by themselves yet or are pretty much stuck at home on a regular basis, regardless of the virus that's going on right now. If they are stuck at home on a regular basis, something that you can do is set up 2 different barriers. So you can put 2 boxes down. You can put 2 different shoes, or you can have somebody stand in front of you at about, and put their feet at shoulder width apart. You can set up your boxes at about shoulder width apart, a little bit wider than that. And then what you can do is you can either in a standing position or a seated position, you can just sweep your cane back and forth. So you can still maintain that same cane sweeping technique. You can do 2-point touch with it. You can do constant contact. If you want to work on doing 3-point touch, you can also do that depending on how tall the box is. So you can set up 3 boxes, so you can have 2 down and then 1 a little bit further above it where you can practice your 3-point touch. You can also set up obstacles within your home to learn how to avoid those obstacles or practice avoiding obstacles and getting around them. So just walking through your house and getting yourself turned around in your home is actually a really good way to practice your skills. So if you kind of spin yourself 3 or 4 times in a circle and then just start walking using your cane, you can practice those skills while getting lost in your own home in a comfortable environment. So another thing is to maintain that grip. So just to review how you're going to hold a cane, there are several different techniques, but the main one where if you have a Ambutech foldable fiberglass cane, you would hold it where you have your palm, like you're about to shake somebody's hand, onto your cane. Your flat part of your cane is going to be along your palm down to your pointer finger. So your pointer finger is going to be pointed down the cane on the flat part of the grip, the golf grip, and then you're going to hold the rest of it like you're about to shake somebody's hand. And then the technique that you want to do is just moving the wrist. You're not moving your whole arm. You're just moving your wrist back and forth, where your pointer finger is controlling that cane and how far it sweeps to the left and right. A really good thing to do right now also is switch hands. So practicing both the right hand and the left hand sweeping. While we're just kind of hanging out in the home, it's really good to practice those skills on both sides of your body. So just in case that something were to happen, your wrists get tired, you accidentally hurt your wrist, sprained your wrist, or did something, you can now switch to the other hand. So you're maintaining those skills and actually gaining more skills with both arms. It's really important to be able to be ambidextrous with cane skills, because if you're not and something were to happen, it's going to be a little bit harder to be able to travel if you hurt your wrist or your arm. With that being said, it's the same way that if you were to get a guide dog, you want to maintain those cane skills. So in case the guide dog were to get sick, it's the same way. You always have an alternate way to travel in case something were to happen. So maintaining those cane skills in the home, sweeping between two boxes at about wider than shoulder width apart. And then you can either sit in a chair or you can be in a standing position where you're just sweeping that cane. Try to have that cane at about the belly button or midline of your body. If you have trouble holding your hand to the middle of your body, that's totally fine. You can put it a little bit more towards the side of your body. So those are just some techniques that you can do in your home to practice and maintain those cane sweeping skills. Setting up obstacles, boxes in a seated or standing position, have somebody stand in front of you where you're sweeping in between their two legs, getting yourself lost in your own home where you're just trying to avoid obstacles. So those are just some basic things that you can do in your home to maintain those O&M skills. So any questions with cane sweeping in your home or anything regarding cane skills at all?
I just had a comment. I walked to the mailbox yesterday, and it's probably, I check the mail, like the actual mailbox, like every couple of weeks because we just don't get a lot of mail. But I was a mess. I haven't walked outside with a cane in a month or two, and I was all over the sidewalk, and I was a mess. So that's funny you bring this up today, because yeah, I was like, man, my cane skills are rusty.
Yeah. Well, that was like Rebecca's comment about driving a car, where she was like, I forgot to drive a car. It's the same thing. I mean, you just kind of forget your skills, and to maintain them, you just need to practice. Because when you're not using it as much, especially in your home, you're probably not using your cane. So a lot of people are so comfortable, so they don't use it in their homes. So the best way to do it is just to practice in your own home right now to maintain those skills, and maybe even using some mental mapping to remember how to get from one place to another that you haven't been in a while. So that's really funny, Sean. Anyway, any other comments or questions regarding that? No, I don't see any hands raised or anything in the chat. Alrighty. So now we're going to move along. I know, so today's nutrition, like I said, and today I'm going to focus on body types. So there's 3 different body types that we have, and there can be mixes between one body type to another, but in order to have a proper nutrition and knowing what your plate should look like, you have to know your body type. So the 3 different body types are ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. The main thing to remember is if you're not one of those, then just memorize which one you are. So I'm going to go over what they are, the different ways that you can manage your weight and your diet in order to have the best results on a regular basis, and just a little bit more information regarding mixes. So you can be an ectomorph and a mesomorph, or you can be a endomorph and an ectomorph. You can be a mix of both. So knowing how to maintain if you are a mix of a little bit of each one. When you know these things, you can actually maintain and focus a little bit more on lean body mass rather than always wondering why you're not losing weight. So knowing the body type that you are, you can now focus on getting that weight loss that you want, or just maintaining the proper nutrition for your body type. Because if you're not feeding your body with the proper nutrients or the things that it needs, you're not going to be functioning at your finest. It's good to know where you hold your weight and why you hold weight where you do. You may be wondering, why are my legs so skinny and all my weight is in my stomach when I look at that person and we're the same weight, yet they have evenly distributed weight. How does that work? Well, it's not because they do a lot more crunches than you do. It's just the way that their weight is distributed. Another thing to remember as well is you could be the same weight as somebody and have a similar body mass index. A body mass index is everything that your body is composed of apart from your basic organs and brain. So it's saying how much of your body is not your basic internal organs, bones, and stuff like that, your body mass does not consider muscle to fat. So your BMI is going to be a little bit different than body fat percentage. So remember that when you go to the doctor, and if you are a fitness individual, just know that if you go there and they tell you that your BMI is at 30 or 31% and they go, yeah, you're overweight, but really you have muscle tone, you look good, you feel good, don't worry about it. Your body is different and everyone's made differently. And so you got to know that your body mass index does not necessarily label what your body fat content is. So that's really important to remember, especially when we're talking about these different body types. Another thing to know is never, as women, we should not compare ourselves to men. Men are dependent on what their goal is as an individual. Their body fat should be between 6 and 25%. Women are typically between 14 to 30% body fat. So just remember that we're going to be different than men, and men are just going to be more cut. Women need a little bit more fat to function with their normal daily lifestyles and monthly occurrences that we need that fat for in order to properly function. Also, with that body fat percentage, the 6 to 25% and the 14 to 30% of body fat, just know that lighter isn't necessarily always better. People that are at the 14 or 6%, women and men, they're at that for a reason. A lot of people bring down their body fat in order to compete or be an athlete, but then they bring it up when they're not at their peak performance level. So just know that that low point is, you shouldn't be any lower than this, because if you are, you're probably in an unhealthy range. So just know that even though I'm saying 14 to 30% or 6 to 25%, it's really important to remember that that low range is only for a certain period of time. So when you think of a athlete that's in the Olympics, you want your body fat to be at its lowest point so you can have peak performance. But when they're not competing, their body fat is going to go up a little bit. They're going to refeed their body so they are at a healthy weight. So body fat isn't always, lower body fat isn't always better. So remember that as well. So body mass index is different than body fat percentage. Women and men are going to be separate in the amount that they average in body fat. Women are going to need more. It's just natural, and our bodies do just naturally have more body fat, and we hold it differently than men. And lighter and less body fat or body mass index isn't always better. We do need fat to function on a regular basis. Now back to our different body types. This is actually not something new. This has been around for a really long time. Plato, the philosopher, actually mentioned this years and years ago, that everyone has a different body type. It's funny because the endomorph, with the softer and rounder, who probably look a little bit bigger and are a little bit on the heavier side and feel like they can't lose weight, have actually been the most likely to survive in ancient times, because they were able to maintain a longer period of time without food. So if you are an endomorph, we're going to go over it, but don't feel bad, because you're actually probably one of the survival of the fittest people, because your body's able to maintain a longer period of time. So each body type that we're going to talk about has its positives and has its negatives, the pros and cons of each body type. So we're going to start off with the endomorph. This is the people that are softer, rounder, curvier, fuller, have more of a pear shape. These people are going to feel like they gain weight really quickly. And once they have the weight on them, they're going to feel like they cannot get rid of it, which unfortunately, that's how it is. Your body is going to hold weight a lot more and a lot longer, and it's going to be harder to put it off. It's going to be harder to shed that fat because you just have a slower metabolism. These people have to make conscious efforts to treat their body well. Exercise is going to be pertinent for your body to be at its finest, even if that means walking, moving, lifting things, you're gonna struggle if you just sit on a couch. Unfortunately, that is the case of an endomorph, and it's said that it's really unfortunate to have that body type, but it's also a positive. Your body's going to be able to maintain a longer period of time of going, because your body's going to hold a lot more in it, that it's going to be able to survive over a longer period of time without food. These people thrive off of either intermittent fasting and keto diets. If dieting is your thing. If it's not, that's totally fine. But there is a percentage that they recommend for people in an endomorph body type to eat. So you want a lower carb, because of the way that your body burns calories and that your body is slower at burning calories. You need less carbs. So it's going to be between about 25 to 30% of your plate, or your daily intake of carbs should be lower. The carbs that you eat should be earlier on in the day rather than right before bed, because you need to utilize that insulin and blood sugar that's going through your body. Once you lay down at night, you don't want those carbs to just be sitting. Your body has trouble controlling insulin and blood sugar. So making sure that you're not just going to bed with all that in your body is going to be very, very important. And if you do put carbs into your body, they have to be those little healthy carbs, which we'll go over later. So limiting carbs and having high protein and really healthy fats. You want between about a 30 to 35% fat intake of your daily food, and then about a 35 to 40% of protein every day. Also, a lot of people that are endomorphs hold stress in their gut. So a lot of times that if you are having a very stressful time in your life, you could hold a lot more weight in your gut area. Unfortunately, that's the case. But just knowing that doing a lot of abs is actually not going to help you. So don't try to do a ton of crunches all the time. That's not going to get you rid of your fat in your gut. What's going to help you is just walking, just moving. That's what's going to get rid of the fat in the areas that you don't want it. Or that's what's going to maintain your healthy lifestyle, nutrient absorbing body, is just by moving. So don't feel like that you need to go to the gym. You need to spot reduce in certain areas and only focus exercises and fitness on those things. Like, don't think that that's what you need to do if that's not what you want to do. The best way as an endomorph to have a healthy body is to just focus on moving your body, focusing on endurance, just getting up and getting out. That's what's going to make you feel your best, function at your best. People that are endomorphs are just going to be on the higher spectrum of body mass. That does not mean that your body fat is higher. It just means that your body mass is going to be bigger. You are never going to be a string bean. It's not going to happen. That's just how that body is. You have bigger muscles. So the things that cover your joints and your cells that are covering each and every part of your body are just thicker, and your joints are bigger. So I know when some people say, I'm just big boned. Well, that's actually a thing. It's not necessarily your bones, but it's the cells that are covering each point of your body, and every single thing in your body. The cells are just bigger. The joints are bigger. The muscles are bigger. So regardless of what your weight is and your body mass, just know that as long as you're a healthy body fat, which you can test, you're okay. A lot of people that are endomorphs are going to be linemen, sumo wrestlers, wrestlers, like just regular wrestlers. Like, you just look at them and they're just big individuals. That does not mean that they're unhealthy. They could be very, very healthy. They're just bigger structured, and that's okay. So that is endomorphs. Any questions on that? Anything that, if you feel like you are, or if you have any questions regarding endomorph, comments or concerns? Awesome. All right, we're going to move on to a mesomorph. A mesomorph is a high muscle looking individual. A person that is a mesomorph just naturally looks like they work out. They have a very thick tone to their body. So they're always going to look like they're working out, regardless of what they're doing. So they could not be in the gym for months to a year, and they're still going to look muscular and built. They have a boast and upright posture. So they're just going to look kind of on the scarier end, like they could probably kick someone's butt because they just look strong. I'm a mesomorph. I know I am, regardless of how much I stop working out or start working out. As soon as I work out, my muscle builds really quickly. So as soon as I start working out, I end up looking like a bodybuilder. Once I stop working out, I just look like I just lift weights here and there. So there is a positive and negatives to this, because you can build muscle really quickly. So you got to be careful what you do when you work out because of the way that your body's going to build muscle. It's going to be harder for you to get that lean look. So a lot of people that are mesomorphs are athletes. They're just naturally born athletes, and they feel they're motivated to do. So it's not just how your body looks, it's actually how your mindset is as a mesomorph. You're just more inclined to want to exercise. Your body's going to naturally want to move because it has that in it. It just has those natural abilities to go into the athletic world. But the problem is those people are never going to be thin, and they want to be thin. They're never going to be a string bean either. They're never going to be a little tiny marathon runner. They're not going to ever look like that. And if that's your goal and you are a mesomorph and you just look naturally built and just scary with big shoulders, big arms, big quads, you're just going to look built no matter what. You're going to hold your weight pretty much distributed throughout your body. So it's not going to be in one place over another. It's going to be fairly evenly distributed all over the body. The person that's a mesomorph is probably going to have a very long torso with shorter limbs. So their legs and their arms are going to be on the shorter end, where their torso is taking up majority of their body. They have a high percent of fast twitch muscles, which is what makes them look so muscular. Fast twitch muscles are the larger muscles in your body, while the slow twitch muscles are the ones that are going to make you look slimmer. Back to the endomorph, they have a mix of both, and they're both a ton of each. So that's what makes them look bigger. Like I said about the cells cover each and every part of your body. So when it is a cell and you have a large amount of both muscles, you're going to be bigger. If I have just fast twitch muscles, I'm going to be very muscular looking. And if I have a lot of slow twitch muscles, I'm going to be very thin and lean, or just tiny looking, a small stature. People that are mesomorphs are able to gain muscle quickly and lose muscle quickly, gain weight very quickly, but also take it off very quickly. They have a very forgiving part of their body that's able to change the way it functions on a regular basis. That does not mean that they're going to be super heavy or super light. They're just able to switch on the spectrum. Their mass is going to get, like, you're just going to gain a lot of mass as soon as you start working out. So you're just going to get bigger as soon as you start lifting weights. So it's recommended, if you are going to be working out, to mix between like the endurance training, which is running, bike riding, all that, and mix it with some strength training. So evenly distributing both of those workouts, having good quality fats, moderate carbs, and timing your protein intake to the perfect time when your body needs it. Every meal should consist of carbs, proteins, and fats for someone who's a mesomorph. And they actually need those carbs in order to function properly and have the perfect nutrient moving and functioning body. So any questions regarding an mesomorph? Looking good. All right. So the next thing is an ectomorph. An ectomorph is pretty much a slimmer body type, but they're going to get, when they gain weight, they gain it all in their stomach. So people tend to call an ectomorph either a string bean, or they typically label themselves as skinny fat. I'm not really sure, but that's what a lot of people label themselves as. So they gain, their limbs will always stay small. They'll have small arms, small legs, and all their weight will be held in their gut. So they're going to end up kind of looking like an apple. Or Gru from Despicable Me. I don't know if anyone's really seen Despicable Me or how they've described Gru from Despicable Me, but he is an ectomorph. So his weight is very distributed into his midsection, but his arms and legs are very skinny. Now that's a very extreme version, but that's typically what those people are. They're have a lot of trouble gaining a lot of muscle. They're always going to be a very slender, small looking body type. A lot of people that are runners or excellent runners are going to be an ectomorph. They are long limbed all over. So their arms are lengthy, their legs are lengthy, their torso is lengthy. They're going to look fairly proportionate regarding the length of all their limbs, but they're going to be very slender. They can gain weight less, so they're able to eat whatever the heck they want regularly without gaining too much weight. The problem is these people, as they age, all their weight starts going to their stomach and their metabolism slows down, and they are still eating the same amount that they were when they were younger, and their metabolism was super fast. So if you may have been a very lean, tiny 20-year-old, but once you hit 40 and 50 and you started seeing that your body was gaining weight in your midsection, then you are an ectomorph, because unfortunately you had a really, really fast metabolism. It slowed down a little bit. You're still able to eat a lot of things that you were before, but you got to cut it down, because as you age, metabolism slows. These people are recommended to have lots of meals that are small throughout the day. So they are typically the people that are recommended to have like 4 to 5 meals a day. So that means, 3 meals and 2 snacks a day, or 3 meals and 1 snack a day, with a later dinner. So most people that are ectomorphs are recommended to start off with the large meal, either that's breakfast or whatever your first meal is, to be larger, with everything including in it. So fats, carbs, and proteins, all of it, with lots of veggies. And then by the end of the day, you want to have a very low carb, high protein and veggie dinner. So your day starts off with high carb and ends with high fat and protein. That way you can take yourself through the day and your body's able to function. They typically have a high caloric intake and high carb intake. Their cells around their muscle fibers is going to be a lot smaller, so their body's just going to be smaller in stature. It's unfortunate for ectomorphs because it takes a lot of time and effort to gain muscle, and they have to work extra hard, but they have the ability to run really fast. They're able to run long distances. They're able to gain that muscle mass very quickly, even though it isn't mass, but they're able to gain that kind of muscle fairly quickly, as opposed to a mesomorph and an endomorph, which are typically not runners, sprinters, long distance people. They just don't have the ability to do that. Any questions regarding ectomorph?
That's me.
I'm glad you can say that, Sean. I'm proud of you. So now let's talk about a little bit of the mix between both body types. So we have you can be an ecto and a mesomorph. You can be a mesomorph and an endomorph at the same time, and you can be an ecto and endomorph. So someone who is an ectomorph and a mesomorph, which the ecto is lean and the mesomorph is muscular. So those people are typically the high-end Olympic athletes that just look amazing, and you're like, how does somebody get that body type naturally? Well, they got lucky. They are both, and it is a very rare body type, but those people that have it, super awesome. Lucky them. They get to live their life at their best, eating a lot of food, looking great, regardless of what they do. Mesomorph, mesomorph and endomorph. So this is a mix between a strong individual with kind of a bigger stature. So they are just naturally large people. Like I said, endomorphs are typically like linemen in football or large wrestlers, that kind of thing. The meso and endomorphs are going to be those high-end athletes. So a lot of the mixes are people that are athletes because they have a mix of both, and they get lucky. So a meso and endo are pretty much going to be a pear-shaped individual. So they're going to be, well, not pear, I'm sorry, an hourglass shape. They're going to be pretty much the perfect look of an individual that you're looking for if you are an athlete or looking to get that extra curve all over. They're strong and muscles aren't perfectly defined, but they are pretty much a very large muscular individual. They're someone that you don't mess with. And then the ecto and endomorph are the people that can gain weight easily, but drop it off quickly, but can gain it and look very big. But then once they lose it, they get very, very lean. So they're in between both spectrums. Typically not a lot of muscle on them. It's going to take a lot to add a lot of muscle, but they're able to be on both spectrums and do it very quickly. Any questions regarding a mix of the morphs? No? Okay. Awesome. So let's go over some of the things that are recommended for each person to eat. So the ectomorph, the mesomorph, and the endomorph. This is just kind of meal ideas. If you're kind of labeling yourself as one of these, this is something that you can do and how you can feed yourself throughout the day if you're wondering what the best way to eat on a regular basis is. So the ectomorph, which is the very lean, skinny type, starting your day off with everything, like I said, the protein, the fat, and the carb. So starting something would be oatmeal with fruit and nuts. It could be a bagel sandwich with egg and sausage. So having a full around, everything included breakfast. If you want a snack, making sure that it's always protein and fat, regardless of what you're eating. Always make sure that those snacks are protein and fat and very, very low carb, if any. Lunch is typically going to be like a salad with lighter fat, but high protein. Then you can get your carbs via veggies or putting some tortilla strips or like frizzled onions. I'm just giving you healthy choices, but if you can figure out a way to make this alternative to maybe a little bit more of the unhealthy, if you're not a salad person, you can be a sandwich person. But if you are a sandwich person, I would recommend like an open face sandwich with meat and veggies on top. Not a lot of fat, dressing, keeping the dressing on the lighter end, so not adding a ton, but getting a little bit of fats out of it. So if you're a sandwich person, that's what you'll do. And then dinner is going to be focused on protein and veggies. Lots of protein, lots of veggies, take you through the night. Keep you full or longer so you don't get starving, because your metabolism is so fast that you're going to get hungry pretty quickly. So making sure that it's lean meat, which is like your shrimps, your chicken, your seafoods, keeping it at that, and adding a lot of veggies. You can add some carbs like quinoa or some rice, but making sure that the carb that you do have has some protein in it, so you're still adding that extra protein with your carb. Any questions regarding meals or a daily meal intake for ectomorph? No? Okay. So a mesomorph is the muscular structure, which is always looking muscular, always have that type to them, easily gaining muscle, easily losing muscle, gains fat and loses fat fairly quickly. Morning would start off with, your normal toast, eggs. You can do like a sandwich, but making sure you have the well-rounded meal, just like the ectomorph. You're going to have about 3 meals a day. If you feel hungry, making sure that let's just say if you have a snack, it's like veggies and hummus. So you're getting your protein, but you're having a little bit of carb. You can actually have some carbs through the day to in your snacks. You're going to add a carb to almost every meal. So a lunch would be most likely a sandwich. It could be a pasta, like a light pasta with some meat on top. It could be quinoa and veggies, so something like that. And then dinner would be a protein, any veggie, and then a carb. The same way where you're using your fist method, you know, where you do a cup. So you're using your fist for a cup of carbs, you're using your palm for the amount of protein, and your two hands for the amount of veggies for all these. So regardless of what I'm telling you, making sure that you're using your hand method to measure out all your proteins, fat, and veggies. So any questions regarding Mesomorph? No? Okay. Then the last one is going to be the Endomorph. A lot of it is going to be a protein-based diet. Proteins are low calorie with a lot of nutrients in them. So you're going to be eating a lot of protein and veggies, but you are able to incorporate carbs throughout your meals. Typically, someone who's endomorph is going to want to start off with a high protein meal. So trying to keep that carb out of the meal because of your blood sugar. You're not going to want to add too much carb in your morning meal because your blood sugar will drop so quickly and it'll make you feel terrible by like 10 or 11. So if you are having breakfast, making sure it's high protein. And then lunch, you are able to add a little bit of carb to your lunchtime. That's going to be your best bet, is to add that carb during lunch so that you get that extra jolt, but having still high protein. So something you could do is like a turkey lettuce wrap with some chips, or an open face sandwich with a side of veggies. Just making sure that even though you have that cup of carb, you are still high protein, high veg to keep your energy up. People who are endomorph are between 2 and 3 meals a day. So if you were to take away the breakfast, you could start off with that sandwich and then end the day with some sort of chicken, veggie, and you can add carbs in your dinner, but it is recommended that you just stick to the chicken and veggies at night. So you don't get hungry and you want more food, or your blood sugar drops through the night. So that is what's recommended for an endomorph meal through the whole day. Any questions regarding that? Okay. Regarding that, just some tips is if you are on the endomorph spectrum, to limit your grains and your starchy carbs. So making sure that they're not too starchy and you're limiting your grains. If you are a mesomorph, making sure that you are adding every single nutrient into your body. So you need carbs, you need proteins, and you need fats. An ectomorph has a little bit of leeway, but you want more of a protein and fat rich diet than you do and you need your carbs too, but starting your day off carb heavy and ending your day protein and fat heavy. Mesomorph, full rounded all day. And then endomorph, making sure that it's high protein, low fat, low carb. Any questions regarding anything? Any comments regarding any body type? Anything at all? No? All right. Well, that is all I have regarding nutrition. Something that I want you all to think about over the weekend is trying to figure out what body type you are, whether that be thinking about what you were as a child and what you look like now, or just thinking about past diets that you have tried and how they have worked now that you know a little bit more about what body types are out there. So just taking a look and just thinking about those things and how exercise has impacted you regularly and how you feel after you exercise or after you eat certain things. Just think about that and you'll be able to maybe discover what body type you are as an individual. A lot of people don't realize that they are a mesomorph because they don't feel like they're very muscular because they haven't worked out in years and years and years, but you could be a very much a mesomorph. A lot of people do think they fall in the endomorph spectrum, but they're actually a mesomorph, and they're trying this whole keto lifestyle, or they're trying that low carbs lifestyle, and they actually could benefit greater from being a mesomorph. So just knowing what you are and just thinking about how you've been through the years to maintain the best diet or nutrient heavy lifestyle.
Yeah,
All right.
it's going to be challenging for some of us. You know, I haven't been to a gym in months, and I was thinking to myself, when I'm able to go back, I have to be careful that I don't try to, you know, that I don't overdo it, since I haven't I haven't worked out in months. It's kind of a strange.
Yeah. So it is hard. It's hard to know, and making sure that if your body's telling you stop, or your body's telling you like you feel terrible, just stop. Don't overdo it. That's going to be the main thing, is listening to your body and anything that you do. Liz has her hand raised. Go ahead, Liz. I don't know how to unmute her. How do I do that?
So bend your knees, plant your feet flat on the ground.
Is she unmuted?
No, okay.
Trying to look.
I got it.
Oh,
There we
Liz
go.
got it. Hi, Liz.
Hi. Okay. So you said that your metabolism slows down as you get older. Because I used to be that one that was skinny with no muscle.
Yeah.
But that was decades ago.
Yeah.
And now, I'm not. I'm that.
Yeah.
We pretend to call it big bone, but no, it's a big bump of fat. I don't suppose you can actually go back to jolting your metabolism?
No. Unfortunately, women, and this is just an unfortunate end for us, but I know that you have a daughter, so I know that you've gone through that hormonal change. So unfortunately, those hormones and things that happen as we age as women could change what we are as individuals. So it can totally change our metabolism just because of having a kid or changing a hormone lifestyle. So women are on that short end of the stick. So it happens.
Right. What about
it is a way
like
for you to lose weight. You not necessarily a full-on big bone person now, but you are probably now a mix of ecto and endo. So you just got to know that what you are, you have to eat a little bit differently from when you were as a kid.
Okay. Now, my daughter, she's that skinny thing, but she's a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's ever going to get fat, but she's like pregnant now. So I'm wondering, is this going to turn her? Because she prides herself on being really thin.
It's just, as long as she maintains and knows what she's doing and keeps that, what she was doing before right now, because she's about, you said about 26, right? 27?
She's 30.
She's 30?
She's
Okay.
30.
Yeah. So just knowing that right by the time she gets 40, things might change. So just recognizing how her body is changing from the time that she's pregnant, has the kid, and then goes to 40, she knows what's happening to her body and recognizes those things. Because no, she's not going to be that little stick skinny forever. So she needs to alter her lifestyle. Yes, probably not eating as much as she was before. So that's going to happen over time.
Yeah, she got downright cranky if she can get fed every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Veggies, I don't think fill you up as much as a good old fat piece of steak.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so there's no hope. I just got to start walking a lot.
yeah, walking is really going to help you for sure. And making sure that you're having plenty of proteins. It doesn't need to be chicken, shrimp, steak. It can be other forms of protein like eggs or tofu or, you know, just a form of protein out there.
Peanuts?
Yogurt. Peanuts, they are higher
Yeah.
in fat, but yes, those have a decent amount of protein. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's my
Yep.
dessert nowadays is peanuts.
It's a great dessert. That's a great dessert. It's low in sugar and low carb.
Yeah, I miss my ice cream. But
Oh,
no ice
yeah.
cream anymore. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Alex, what would you recommend to somebody after they worked out? Like, let's say somebody does like a weight training session.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a good follow up to that?
Protein and carb. Both. You don't need fats after you work out. Your best bet is, if it is strength training, putting more protein. If it's more endurance training, you're going to need more carb. But if you are strength training, it's probably going to be about 20 grams of carbs and about 20 to 30 grams of, 20 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs. If you are just done doing like an endurance thing or like a HIIT or a CrossFit where it was just go, go, go the whole time and your heart rate is up the whole time, you're going to need more carb. But if it's a strength training session where it's just lifting weights, you're going to need an even amount of protein and carb.
Okay.